As you can see, we did a big grocery haul and stock up. These groceries are from 3 different places. We have Attire Standard, Sam's Club, and a couple of things I couldn't find at Sam's Club at Walmart. So in an ideal world, I would love to get all these things locally, but this is not an ideal world. And sometimes you just need to get things that are convenient and close to you. So these Walmart and Sam's Club are close to me and convenient, and Attire Standard has a lot of more organic, more natural things, even though they aren't local. It's the best I can do. With this big grocery haul, the reason that we are doing this is we have 2 exciting things coming in January. One is, of course, we are expecting another baby coming sometime in January, and then the other thing that we are doing is starting on January 1st, we're doing a pantry challenge. I did this last year as well. This is put on by Three Rivers Homestead, and we are going to be doing 3 months of no grocery shopping with one exception. We are still going to be buying fresh fruit when needed. I think that's going to be especially important with me nursing and having a new baby, to have a few fresh things to eat. We do have a lot of fresh vegetables in the garden, but no fresh fruits. So that is the premise behind all of this right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and show you what we got. We're going to start on this side of the counter and work our way around the counter. This side is mostly just Sam's Club stuff, including this cane sugar, which is what I'm going to start with first. We have 2 6-pound bags of this. I really like this brand for the cane sugar, and they also sell brown sugar as well. And I already have a bunch of the brown sugar, so we didn't need to buy any more, but we did need to stock up a little bit on the regular sugar. Up next, I have some extra virgin olive oil. Oil is something that is really easy to run out of during a pantry challenge, so I wanted to make sure that we have plenty. Also, because we make a lot of things from scratch, and one of the things that we make from scratch a lot is mayonnaise, and it's pretty much just oil, eggs, and a couple little other things, but mostly oil. So we need a lot of this to get through the next couple of months. So right next to it, we also have some avocado oil. This is actually what I use for the mayonnaise for the most part. The extra virgin olive oil, we use that more for like making homemade salad dressings. Next, we also have some just regular mustard here. The kids really like this stuff, and I haven't ventured into making my own mustard yet. We also have some Dijon mustard, but we're already stocked up on that, so we just have a little bit of this. We did a pretty good job of growing a lot of spices this year, but there are still some that we buy. One of those is cinnamon. We're not growing that anytime soon. And then we have bay leaves. And the last one here is chili powder. This is one that I could make myself at some point eventually, but I have not yet. Next, I have 6 pounds of whole almonds. We like to use these to make homemade almond milk, and then we will also use them in things like homemade granola. Then we have 2 gallon jugs of the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. This stuff is nice for canning because it is a set acidity, the 5% acidity, so you can't use homemade for that, even though we do have a little bit of our own homemade apple scrap vinegar going in the pantry. This stuff works better for canning. Behind that, we have just regular white distilled vinegar. I don't use this a ton in my cooking, but we do use it a lot for cleaning. So we have 2 cases of those. We also have 3 7-pound bags of powdered sugar. We're not gonna go through all this in the next 3 months. This is probably a year supply for us. It is nice to have a little bit of convenience in this. In the past, we have blended up some of our regular cane sugar and made powdered sugar, but it's never quite as fine as what you can get from the store. So we do have a little bit of this on hand for special occasions. Last year, as we were doing the pantry challenge, one of the first things that we ran out of was dairy products. So I made sure that we had a little bit more this year, and I may buy even more than this before we hit the new year, just to make sure that we have enough. We don't drink cow's milk in our house. I've always had a difficult time digesting that, and even raw or A2, all of that, I still have a little bit of trouble with. So one of the things that is okay for me to eat, I've noticed, is stuff that has been fermented slightly or has probiotics. This probiotic cream cheese is fine, and the probiotic sour cream is also fine. I get these from Attire Standard. So a lot of times I will use sour cream in place of milk and just dilute it so it looks like milk. The flavor, of course, is a little bit different, but it's a lot easier on my stomach than regular milk is. Next, we have 3 big boxes of this pre-made pasta. We have not bought pasta from the store in probably 3 years or so, ever since we got a pasta maker, but I wanted some convenience for when the baby came and to save a little time and effort and cleanup, so we have these instead. So this is like convenience food for us, and I will be glad to have them. Once we run out, we'll go back to making it from scratch. I got 100 pounds of organic all-purpose flour. We already have a ton of wheat berries already stored in the pantry, so I didn't need to buy any more of those. But the all-purpose flour is something that we go through fairly quickly, especially during a pantry challenge when we're making everything from scratch pretty much. We need to make sure we have a lot of flour on hand. I also got a 25-pound bag of organic brown sprouted rice. And next thing over here is a lot of butter. The kids love to stack this up when we get it. I got 2 different kinds. One is cultured butter. This is the kind that I prefer because it's a little easier on my stomach, and the rest of the family will eat this other kind, which is just regular butter that has been salted. Both of these butters claim that they are from grass-fed cows. So with how much we cook from scratch, we go through a lot of salt, a surprising amount. So we got a 10-pound bag of this Redmond real salt. I got the extra fine stuff. I have some more coarse stuff in another place as well. We just got this off their website, not from any of the places that we visited. I'm a little late on the bandwagon of getting this. I really like it a lot. I like the flavor, and I like that it is sourced in the USA, which is really nice. The Attire Standard order that I'm showing you today actually came the day before Thanksgiving, and I just couldn't deal with it right then. So we put everything inside our cold room and pantry and brought it all out to show you now. 2 weeks has passed, and in those 2 weeks, we have already gone through 2 of these giant things of yogurt. I did not realize how much Riggs would love these little things of yogurt, and also my other kids eat a bunch of this as well. So I will probably still need to put in 1 more order for Attire Standard in the month of December just to make sure that we have enough to last us through the pantry challenge and not run out. My kids actually asked me to get some gelatin so that we could make some homemade gummies, and also so that we can make some homemade marshmallows during the pantry challenge. So that's what this is for. This is a more natural version of gelatin. And then we got a couple of things of maple syrup. These came from Sam's Club. This one came from Attire Standard. The last thing we got is a whole bunch of these plain blue organic tortilla chips. We go through so many of these, so there are a lot of bags here. We just have a lot of salsa in the pantry, and to use that salsa, we do buy tortilla chips. Sam's Club used to sell this kind in a big bag in bulk, and it was really affordable, great price for being organic, because I'm very particular about that with my tortilla chips. I don't want to be eating the genetically modified kind. But they stopped carrying it, which is very frustrating. So now we get all of these little tiny bags from Walmart, and sometimes they don't have enough. So we have some of this kind, and then we also have some of just like the Great Value brand. And then we also got some of this Late July brand. I like this brand a lot for the flavor, but it is so expensive. It's like double the price of these other chips. So we don't get a ton of those. We mostly just get the On the Border chips instead. That wraps up everything that we bought at the grocery store to last us for the next 3 to 4 months. That does not encompass everything that we will be eating. Of course, we still have a lot already in our pantry stored from other times that we've stocked up, and then we have a whole bunch in our cold room that we have harvested and preserved throughout this year that we will be eating as well. And then in our freezers, we have veggies and fruits and meats there, and some fresh stuff out in the garden too. So what you see here is what needed to be restocked for the next couple of months. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting a lot of this stuff away. Our cold room is around 42 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which means we store all of our dairy products in there. And then we also make sure that we empty out all of the paper bags with grains in them so that mice don't get them. We put them in plastic buckets with the Gamma Seal lids, and anything else that can be stored in an airtight container, we usually do that. Now that we have everything put away, it's time to do one final inventory of the entire pantry just to make sure that we have everything that we need for the next 3 months. So what I do is I print out a list of what we normally have in our pantry. I made this like 4 or 5 years ago. This is available on my website. I'll link it in the description if any of you guys want to use this to kind of start out, but it's very catered to our family, of course. So I just go through and I highlight in one color all of the things that we already have, and in another color anything that we still need. And this really helps to make sure that we're covering all of the basics so that we're not out of something important like wheat, for example. That would be disastrous because we make bread all the time. It's used in so many things. So it's just covering all the bases to make sure that we have all that we need to make it through the pantry challenge without it being too extreme of a challenge. I have done this before with no prep at all, just walked right into a pantry challenge, kind of like planning for an emergency. A lot of times if there was an emergency going on, you wouldn't be able to grocery shop beforehand. And we did one of those that was super hard. We're not doing that extreme of a challenge this time. It's been about 20 minutes and I have one whole side filled out and about half of the other side. But before we wrap up here, I just want to tell you a little bit of what I'm doing here in hopes of helping you guys if you ever do this. So I am making notes of how many I have of certain things, just so I can keep this as a reference for next year when we do the pantry challenge again. If I run out of something, then I'll know that I didn't have enough and I need to have more of those on hand. And also some of these we are not out of, but I marked us as out so that I would buy some more so that we have more of a supply. There are a couple of things on this list that I won't be able to buy and that I didn't preserve this year. We will just go without those things. We do that a lot over the year because we grow all of our own vegetables. We don't buy any from the store, so if there's something that just doesn't grow well, then we just do without it and work around it. That is part of the purpose of doing a pantry challenge too, is just to kind of stretch yourself creatively in the kitchen. So there will be things that we don't have here that I'm not going to buy, and it will force us to be a little more creative, but it's a really good exercise in cooking from scratch, being more creative, and just going without a lot of the modern packaged processed foods for an extended period of time. So I really like the pantry challenge for that, and I'm excited to do it this year.